Alright, hi everyone, Serenity here, and welcome to a new format. This is obviously an evolution on the type of Destiny format that I use if you've ever watched any of my other videos, but this is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, I'm using some form of facial tracker to make something a little bit more interactive, I guess, just to make these videos a little bit easier to watch. Now, the reason, obviously, I'm doing this is because I think it's a little bit more entertaining, and obviously it's linked to what I kind of want to start doing every now and then, which is some form of anime stuff. And the first video I really wanted to make is why don't people enjoy Boruto? And to me, is it a bad show? And as someone that skipped quite a lot of the episodes and wasn't really enjoying it, I will still say that I do enjoy the show, and I think it's going in the right direction. The argument I hear a lot is that it's for a younger audience, which I just don't believe. I personally don't think Boruto's for a younger audience at all. I just think times have changed. And that is something I will talk about, but yeah, I do just think times have changed, not that Naruto or Boruto has changed. Now, to answer this, I think you have to sort of try your best to remove nostalgia goggles and sort of cast your eye back at Naruto, especially in the West. It had a lot of heavy censorship, and it was a lot of differences between the Japanese and the Western version, especially the viewer's experience when it came to violence in the cartoon. But back then, in general, violence was just a lot more accepted in cartoons. Not just things like Naruto, but if you go back and watch things like Tom and Jerry, it was a very, very violent show. Things like the sexy jutsu seem to be happening off-screen in Boruto, which as we know happened quite frequently on-screen in Naruto. Which I'm not sure if that has happened on-screen, and to be honest, as I said, I have skipped quite a few things, which some people go, haha, that means you don't like it. No, not entirely. I have some good points to why Boruto as a character and as a show is a good show, and fundamentally is going to probably be an absolutely amazing shonen anime. But it's going to take time. Time that Naruto already had sort of naturally in place for us because we had no preconception of how good the show would be. The way I view it is that Naruto and Sasuke were fighting in the original as sort of the two main lead roles. Now, if there were two directors, one that wanted Naruto and one that wanted a show called Sasuke, and then someone approached with a middleman and said, I want us to just get along and make something that incorporates them both, it would almost be perfect to say that Boruto is the perfect match. But for the first time, if you see it, as Boruto is a genius who's talented but also witty, funny, and sort of in the main eye of everyone and wants attention. He is the perfect mix between young Naruto and young Sasuke without the horrific, horrific backstories. But we're also seeing for the first time the ninja world in a mundane way. And shocker, it's mundane. You know, Sarada unlocks her Sharingan by her dad not being around. How did Sasuke unlock his? His entire fucking clan was slaughtered. You know, there is a difference, but it does go to show that things like the Sharingan will change depending on the environment. And this is something that I find very interesting. That we are for the first time seeing what happens in the world when things are, I guess, close to ours. So people are still unlocking Sharingans because their level of, I guess, depression and their levels of trauma are lower than normal because they're not experiencing it. They're not growing up in war. So this is quite interesting, because what will it take for a mangekyo to unlock? In 50 to 100 years of peace and a couple generations, will a child start unlocking the mangekyo for dropping, like, their sweets? These kind of questions are obviously unrelated to why Boruto is interesting as a show, but I do think it, as a show, can approach some rather interesting questions that we could never have got inside of Naruto. Also, the very fact that this generation right now is going to be fighting an evil that is unbelievably powerful in comparison to Kaguya is something that I'm quite excited about. If you didn't notice that Naruto himself was the one that said the world is going to go through another massive event, and it is going to go through some form of huge fight again. And they all said that they doubt the generation is strong enough, like unlike their generation, because they haven't been trained, etc., etc. but they have set this up in such a good way that I don't think people appreciate what they have done. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but yeah. Obviously, they didn't want to jump straight back into Boruto and show that the world's completely fucked. Because they didn't want to set up that the characters of our generation were just complete failures. They wanted to show that they're struggling from difficulties completely alternate from the ones they grew up with. Naruto and Sasuke didn't have families. Why? Because the world was at war. Because Obito wanted to go and claim the Nine Tails, etc., etc. The Jinchuriki had to exist, which is the whole reason that Naruto's family got fucked. It's the whole reason Naruto's life was fucked. Obviously, Itachi and the coup d'etat that was going to happen with the Uchiha clan, in order to stop people from getting fucked around with, Itachi killed his entire clan, which eventually did lead Sasuke to almost destroy the entire Leaf, and make one of the most powerful rogue ninjas in all of history. There is this nice element that was played off in the original Naruto, of humans sort of having this interaction of, I want to stop something, but causing it, and having this inevitable snowball effect on destroying themselves, or destroying the society they look to uphold, which is obviously the entire story behind Madara and Hashirama. But in Boruto, you don't have this entire amazing complex. What you have is seeing what happens when a generation of people who grew up in a time of war have to be parents, have to be guardians, have to look after people who they're not necessarily training to go off and die in a fucking trench war at the age of 15. You know, it is this very weird complex, which I think is actually interesting, but people find it boring because it's not action. But it is. It's another type of action. It's another type of excitement, which we don't necessarily get in the normal Naruto. Also, the very fact is that Boruto was set up to one day have a curse mark, which we assumed was a curse mark just by its looks, and the amazing looking eye power that the curse mark seems to attach itself to, which is now we know the Jogan, which is an amazing cool visual jutsu, and I'm a fucking fanboy for visual jutsu. With the amount of times I got clickbaited when I was like 15 by Naruto with a Sharingan and like his Demon Fox cloak on YouTube videos, I could fucking buy a house with how many views. Man, all those fucking clickbait thumbnails, they were so fucking funny. There was just so many of them. And now this is where things, I think, get even more interesting. That Boruto effectively has a Rinnegan level eye power, and he's only just really been approaching the idea of becoming a ninja. He doesn't have to go through the steps of a Sharingan. He doesn't have to go through the steps of training massively to get like the 64 palm technique, which takes a long time and only certain Hyuga can actually master, etc, etc. He is going straight from nothing to already having a really high level jutsu. So what's going to happen when he trains this thing? Is this thing going to surpass the Rinnegan? We don't know what his powers are, but it seems to already be in tap with quite a lot of alternate powers. Byakugan, when is young, can only do a certain amount of things, but Boruto's eye seems to be able to have one of the Nine Tails powers, being able to sense evil energy. It also can see people's chakra circulatory systems, which I'm assuming comes from the Byakugan, so it is a mix. But yeah, it's already got some OP hack stuff, and it's not even really active yet, it's still dormant. The very fact is that if it is a Rinnegan level ability, then we're going to start seeing these characters come out that are more and more powerful. It will mean that Boruto and probably the characters around him will grow to the level of Naruto and Sasuke very, very quickly. And by the time we get to some form of Shippuden, we will have these jumps on dramatic scales. They won't be minor scales, they will be dramatic. And we've kind of seen this before. And I'm talking about Sasuke here and his curse mark. Sasuke's curse mark came from an experiment done by Jugo. Well, not done by Jugo, on Jugo. And it was first given to him by Orochimaru when he bit him in the Chunin exams. But Boruto's curse mark came from killing a god-level entity. Someone who technically is actually stronger than Kaguya. So that's right, he got a curse mark from killing a Kaguya-level enemy. The enemy that literally took the most powerful sealing technique in all of the universe to capture, along with some of the most powerful people in the universe. Two people with internal mangekyo Sharingans, Susanos, Obito sacrificing himself, he was one of the most powerful ninja. Sakura, who used literally basically a Hokage level technique just to find Sasuke to help them start fighting this god level entity because she knew Naruto couldn't do it alone. It is this ridiculous feat that Boruto has defeated, yes, using someone else's power, but this is sort of the Umbra paradox, I guess, of when you played Oblivion. What would happen is you would go and kill a guard, get 65 arrows, you'd go to where Umbra is, who is a very high level enemy, you'd sit on the rock and you'd shoot arrows down until Umbra was dead. And it would mean you got an end game piece of gear, a full armor set, a sword that you could wield right off the bat, and that was it. You basically had done the game. You had this hack shit that was ridiculously overpowered. And considering the fact that this is basically what Boruto did, he took the Rasengan and he used it to kill a Kaguya level enemy. He has a god level curse mark, which while it's new to him, it will require training to become powerful. Yes, it is something that's very, very interesting to look at because it's not some random mortal level curse mark. This is something that came from someone who has consumed several world trees. This is going to be a far beyond Kage level ability, and that is super fucking interesting 65 episodes in. What effectively I'm trying to say is the way the universe is setting up people like Boruto and people like Sarada and the way she gained her Sharingan really are perfect examples of how power is different now that the world has changed. It is, if you think about it, how could Sarada obtain a Mangekyo Sharingan? And what's going to happen? Is she going to have to ask Sasuke, why am I fucking going blind? And is he going to, I don't know, kill one of those clone babies, steal their eyes and give it to Sarada? Is he going to use one of his new visual jutsus we don't know about to give her an internal Mangekyo straight away? Is he going to have to give her one of his eyes? There are so many possibilities. There are so many different examples of how this stuff can get really, really exciting. And I will say Sarada is actually one of the main reasons that I think I'm really fucking excited for Boruto as an anime. And it's not only that, the very fact that we've seen something incredibly different is Boruto is someone who uses lightning style. It's very, very interesting. But by episode 65, he had already mixed elements and created an alternate jutsu. Which in Naruto, we had to get to Shippuden, and then it had to have entire arcs dedicated to Naruto training up during Shippuden to make the Wind Shuriken, which of course eventually evolved into the Rasen Shuriken, and then evolved into him using Senju to throw the Rasen Shuriken. We're already at that level. Boruto already knows how to use a Rasengan, even if it's tiny like the 4th Hokage's, which is not actually bad, because if you looked at the way the 4th Hokage used miniature ones, it was for speed and small punctures of power. The small Rasengan is actually really, really powerful. Those massive Rasengans Naruto uses all the time are also very, very powerful. They're like obviously massively more powerful, but if you could condense that much power into a tiny one, it can be delivered a lot faster, etc, etc. And we're already seeing that Boruto not only can throw a Rasengan, he did it through pure genius, he just threw it. He doesn't use Senju, he just threw it. Or he might have some form of Senju, it might be the fact he's got connected to the Nine-Tails Chakra. But, which isn't Senju, I'm just saying, it might be something to do with that. Or it might just be something to do with maybe his Jogun has some form of Senju abilities. It seems to be that this generation has taken a lot more abilities from their parents, so I'm assuming there might be some form of way that Senju is affecting this. Because, as you saw with Mitsuki, he already has Sage Mode, which is, yeah, that's a bit ridiculous, but you know, there has to be one. And the very fact is, we're getting to this level, we're getting to Rasen Shuriken level, 65 episodes into a show. They are knowing that we don't want to sit through 200 episodes to get up to Naruto Sasuke level, even if it's the minor Naruto Sasuke level. They know this. They are very clearly showing this. But people were sort of ignoring it for some reason, as if it's not happening, and it's kind of annoying. And as to get back to the idea, I can tell you that Sarada will eventually get a Mangekyo. We just know this. And one of the only people for her to take an eye from is Sasuke. And what's he going to do? Just let his daughter go blind? Will he give her some form of like half Mangekyo Sharingan? Will he go and find Dante's? Dante? Why am I thinking Dante? That's Devil May Cry. Like Danzo's collection of Sharingan, or the little onion boy who was cloned. If it's very clear that someone with a Sharingan can just be cloned, I can't see how it'd be that hard for Sasuke to get hold of a Mangekyo Sharingan. But considering he's changed his ways, I don't think he's necessarily going to go out of his way to steal someone's eyes just to give it to his daughter. I can't see that happening, which is why I do think that Sasuke is going to leave his eyes to her. He's going to give her probably the Rinnegan. I assume eventually she will get his Rinnegan, which is something that, if you notice, obviously Boruto had Sasuke's sword when he was fighting against whoever the enemy was in the very beginning. So it either means Sasuke is off fighting with Naruto somewhere, or both of them are out of commission somehow in another dimension. We don't know. Those are so many open-ended options, but it does mean that I assume at some point either they're going to die, or they're going to get into a point where they have to leave the fighting over to the younger generation, which is where I believe that Sasuke will probably do something similar to what maybe Obito did, where Obito seemed to be able to transfer his Sharingan for a time over to Kakashi before he died, which Kakashi lost the Sharingan, but at the same time he could still use the Susanoo for a limited amount of time because he was gifted the chakra of the Sharingan. So maybe, I don't know, she'll get gifted the chakra for a Rinnegan, and then boom, eventually she'll just learn how to use it herself. Kind of like how in Dragon Ball Battle of Gods, Goku tapped into Super Saiyan God for the first time, but then afterwards his body naturally akin to it, and he was even saying, Beerus said, have you not noticed how much faster and stronger your normal base form and Super Saiyan is? Because you've already increased so quickly, and your spiritual pressure, your ki has increased ridiculously just because of the pressure of the God Ki that basically you turned on for about 5 minutes. Which I have a feeling something like that might happen with Sarada. But to keep on with this, the idea is that Sasuke's Rinnegan is a weird one, because his Rinnegan is a mix between a Rinnegan and also has the 3 dojutsu in it, which is a ridiculously OP as fuck. It is so ridiculously OP. If Madara had that, he would have been able to win the war in seconds, basically. And the very fact is, the whole argument of Sasuke versus adult Madara with the eye, Sasuke would actually wipe the fucking floor with him. Absolutely wipe the floor with him. Adult Sasuke is really OP, and if he had been a villain now, I do think that they would struggle to kill him off, because he has so many tricks up his sleeve. And not only is it OP, but passing this stuff off, they need to get an equally OP villain, which is what they've got. By the looks of things, there are Kaguya-level entities out there, showing that there are world trees in other universes that they have been consuming. Which means everything that the war led up to, all of the powerful chakra that led up to Madara becoming this ridiculously OP monster that he already was, but becoming effectively a god amongst gods, he would have wiped the floor with them if Kaguya didn't exist. No one would have been able to stop him. And that is something that apparently even the writers struggled with. They were like, how the fuck do we kill off this character? We've accidentally made him just too fucking OP. Obviously, they knew the how to, but they were like, how the fuck do we actually get rid of him? This is going to be difficult. And that's awesome. Writers looking at things like that is awesome. And having that kind of look upon it, with showing that there are other world trees. In that one universe, there was like 6 world trees that they drained. 6! That's 6 times the amount of chakra that was during the war. That, what the fuck? If one person has that power, it's going to take someone who is 6 times more powerful than 2 Narutos and Sasukes at their peak to fight them. That is ridiculous. That is unbelievably ridiculous. And that is why I do believe Boruto is going to become a fucking powerhouse of a shonen. And the whole idea that the kids have effectively grown up in a world that's been a lot less stress-free than what Naruto and Sasuke grew up in really does highlight things. As I said, like things like the Sharingan. How is that going to evolve in a less stressful environment? We've already seen Saradas not even using it that much because she doesn't want to show off and she wants to master, etc, etc. This is just something that wouldn't have happened back in the day, really. People would have been training with it constantly. People would have been asking about it and how to master this thing because they need it to not fucking, like, die. So my main points is they have blitzed through the progression that Naruto went through. They've shown that the teenage version of Boruto, Kid Boruto, is far, far superior to Naruto. He would wipe the fucking floor with Naruto. And people will get mad at that, but he would. If Boruto actually applied himself, he would be able to gain so fucking quickly. And it really is just this fact that Boruto is a lot smarter than Naruto when he was younger. Naruto had the will of fire, I guess, he was very strong, he was very focused on what he wanted to do in life. But that is nothing in comparison to just being really, really smart. And you can see that sometimes that can backfire, which is what Sasuke and Kakashi were both trying to say to Boruto. Because they have seen this before. They have both seen that Sasuke was like this. They both saw Neji was like this. And they both lost to Naruto effectively at some point because they let their arrogance get in the way of basically their strength. When Naruto always let his strength and his hypocrisies be known to people. If Naruto had an hypocrisy, he would say, I don't care, that's just who I am. I can't help that. When Sasuke has one, he tries to kill everyone involved so no one knows that he was wrong or a hypocrite. And obviously, unfortunately Neji isn't around, but Neji had the whole scar on my forehead so everyone should suffer and it's not fair that I'm stronger than everyone but I bow to everyone, blah blah blah. And then he got over that with the Taunt no Jutsu. I actually want to make a really long video about the Taunt no Jutsu, but that's for later. So sort of in conclusion, what I'm trying to say is that I love Naruto and Sasuke. I absolutely adore them. And that fight in episode 65, I think I've watched just too many times. But all of the fights in Boruto have been not only gorgeously animated, and I mean like, the smear frames are movie level. If this carries on, this level of animation and fighting, I can expect that we're going to get fights that are incredibly just visual spectacles. And they are going to have to equate the powers to make these things visual spectacles. And that is awesome. I honestly think that Boruto will become one of the best shonen anime if this carries on, if these level of fights are what we are to expect in the future. Boruto just will become an amazing show. I do think it will get there. I don't think that it's going to surpass Naruto. I don't think that's the point. I think it's its own thing. I like to look at it as this is the evolution that Naruto and Sasuke wanted. They wanted to see a world with peace. It is Madara and Hashirama's dream combined into one to make this nice world that kids can live in and be happy. But something has now come to threaten it, and so they're having to train their kids to be prepared. And I like that. I think it's awesome seeing Boruto see his father's true powers, or not even his true powers. He didn't use any of like the Kyuubi chakras. He only used Sage Mode and Kurama's chakra, which was weird. He didn't use the Seek Orb, the Orbs of Truth, Seek Orbs of Truth. What the fuck are they called? Orbs of Seeking Truth, something like that. He doesn't use those anymore, and that's something I don't understand. Is Naruto seems to have nerfed himself, or maybe he's just not as strong. But yeah, Sasuke has no problem using most of his powers, but Naruto just doesn't seem to use them. But that's something for another video. For the last topic, with the whole Jogan and Boruto, etc., Ninetales' power being in his eye, all this, it does mean that I do think the idea that not only if he was to adopt the curse mark a bit like a cloak, kind of how Sasuke did in a way, that is hype as shit. That is fucking awesome. And I will say, things like the rage of the Ninetales is stuff I will miss. I will really miss like the Fox Cloak and Naruto just going fucking crazy. Obviously the Naruto Sasuke fight was one of the best fights just ever, the original one I mean. Well, definitely, I mean the new one as well, but the original one was just amazing in so many different ways, and it's because it was showing everything we'd learned. And it is awesome just seeing that he has got this Hax level curse mark, plus the Jogan. He has the ability to surpass Naruto and Sasuke combined. Same with Sarada, same with Mitsuki. All of them have inherited some of the most powerful chakra, jutsu, and traits. And honestly, if they put their mind to it and the parents teach them, the picture we're going to see is going to be very, very different. They are going to get to Naruto Sasuke level when they were fighting Kaguya, when they are really fucking young, when they are way younger than Naruto and Sasuke were. And you gotta be happy as well that Boruto exists, so we get to see that Naruto fucking tapped that. Naruto finally got some. He at least had sex twice. You gotta think of that. And that makes me happy. And actually, on one last note, I guess PSS. I really love Himawari as a character, and I hope she gets some form of new Byakugan that just overpowers everything, and the Nine Tails is like splits in half still, and he's like, I just want to go with her, and so we get some 4-year-old running around with like the fox cloak on, just like, oh, that would be fucking amazing. I would absolutely adore if Himawari somehow got like the fox cloak or something. I don't know why the idea of a child with a Byakugan running around in a Ninetales cloak just makes me really happy. It would be hilarious. But yeah, that's where I'm going to leave this one. Leave your thoughts in the comments, because this is a very complicated subject, and unfortunately the very fact I did skip like 30 episodes does mean that there is going to be a lot of things in here that might necessarily not be fully correct, but I'm just talking as a general perspective that I do think this show is going to become awesome. If you can't see that, then just don't watch it for a little bit like I did, and then eventually come back to it, and I think you will see how awesome it's going to get. And sometimes just enjoy the spectacle of what is watching Naruto and Sasuke have amazing fights. That's going to happen every now and then in the show. Naruto using, I think it's, is it Chung Wing? The Ip Man style of fighting with the hand-to-hand combat that he learned in his year out before becoming Hokage. We have no idea of his new abilities and stuff that we might never see. We might see them. But it's awesome seeing how amazing he's become at taijutsu and stuff because he trained it for a year out. Things like that are cool, and they're unexpected, and they're just hinted at and shown to us very mildly, but it's nice to see growth, and that is something we're going to see massively with Boruto. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. As I said, leave your thoughts in the comments. Peace out, guys, and as always, have a good one. What the fuck? My character just winked at me. That wasn't me.